Hello, everyone. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Daphne. Nina and Marianne. Good to see you all. And I know there's other people who are on that haven't said hello yet. And hello to you too. Excuse me. Just putting my phone on Do Not Disturb so I can use the timer and it won't talk to me. We'll begin with the verse of the Quesa. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Gata of Atonement. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. Hi, Stephen. The fragrance of this incense invites the awakened mind to be present with us now. The fragrance of this incense fills our room, protects and guards our minds from wrong thinking. The fragrance of this incense unites us with precepts, concentration, and insight. We offer it for all beings. Homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I shall become one with the Buddha. I resolve that I shall each day follow the way of life he laid down for us to walk and awaken to his supreme wisdom. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I shall become one with the Dharma. The gates of Dharma are manifold. I vow to enter them all. The goal of wisdom is ever beyond. I shall attain it. I go to the Sangha for guidance. I shall become one with the Sangha. In the spirit of universal fellowship and as a member of the Sangha, I pledge myself to strive for the enlightenment of all beings. The Metta Sutta. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward to the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, sitting or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into the world of suffering. May I be happy and well. May no harm come to me. May I learn compassion. May all my friends, family, and those I love be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those troubled in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those who have hurt me in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those I have hurt in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all my enemies be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all living beings be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. Do a guided meditation tonight. I'm going to scoot things just a little closer so you can hear me better. To begin, take a few deep breaths. Focus on letting your belly be nice and soft, abdominals relaxed so your lungs can fill and empty deeply, smoothly. And let your breath start to settle down. Just find a nice, comfortable rhythm, not breathing any particular way, but as you're breathing in, aware of the breathing in, breathing out, aware of the out breath. And you can pick a spot to focus on the sensation of breathing, tip of the nose or the pit of your stomach, wherever it's more comfortable for you. To concentrate on the breath, just rest your attention there. So, with each breath, notice that the in breath has a beginning, that it continues, that it ends. There's a feeling of fullness. And then the out breath begins, it continues, it ends. There's a feeling of emptiness. Try to observe each breath in this way. Observe each breath, beginning to end. And then observe the connections from one breath to the next. Connecting each breath so that your attention on the breath is continuous. If you find your attention on the breath has drifted, you can take a few deep breaths. Just recenter your attention on breathing. And then let the breath settle and just let the attention ride on the breath. If your mind is very restless and you need some extra anchoring, you can count your breaths, breathing in, counting out 1, and then 2, on up to 10, and then start over. Focusing on extending the out breath, the counting with the out breath. And as you sit, you can let your breath and body become calmer and calmer, focusing on letting your breath be calm. If you'd like, you can note your out breaths. May my breath grow calm. If your attention is pretty settled on the breath, you can expand your awareness to include the body with each in-breath. So letting your awareness expand out from your belly, breathing in, experiencing the whole body. Breathing out, experiencing the whole body with each breath. Anything that comes into your awareness that's not the breath and the body, you can let it go or let it be. There's no need to attach to anything, create a storyline around anything. No need to push anything away. Things come and go into awareness, out of awareness. Like clouds passing through the sky, they don't leave tracks. Feelings are pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. That's it. No need to hang on to pleasant feelings or push away unpleasant feelings. No reason to think anything should be different than it is. Feelings arise. Sounds, smells, tastes, physical sensations, sights, things that arise in the mind. They're just sensory experiences. They're not mine. They're not me. Let them go or let them be. And the bell will ring twice to end the meditation. Rings the first time, bring your hands together in front of your heart. When it rings the second time, bow. Just take a moment to be present with this gift that you've given yourself. Taking this time to nourish your spiritual heart. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, existing right here now, and offering flowers, candles, and incense, hearing the Dharma and training the mind. Great merit is attained. We dedicate this merit to the great master Shakyamuni Buddha, the all-pervading and everlasting three treasures, to the 16 guardians and all protectors of the Dharma and their relations throughout space and time, to all ancestors of this Sangha, and all beings in the Dharma world. May penetrating light dispel the darkness of ignorance. Let all karma be resolved in the mind, flowered bloom in eternal spring. May the Dharma body maintain strength and health, and years of life be lengthened for all teachers of this Sangha. May their vows be fully realized, and may they live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma. We pray for those suffering from violence and those who grieve for them, for those living in oppression, for all who are imprisoned who should be free, for all refugees from violence, hunger, and catastrophes, man-made or natural. We pray for the health and well-being of those suffering from diseases of body, mind, or spirit, those working toward the healing of those afflictions. We have members of our communities, our spiritual communities, who are suffering from disease right now. I'm not going to mention them because once you say it on the internet, it's kind of there. But I'm going to ring the bell and give you a moment to just silently send goodwill, good wishes toward anyone that you know of who is suffering illness right now. May they be serene through all their troubles, and may we realize the enlightened way together. Sabe sata sadahantu avera sukajivino katang punya phalang maihang sabe bagi bhavantu te May all beings always live happily, free from animosity. May all share in the blessings that spring from the good we have done. So, Ellen, is everything connected for you now? I haven't seen a lot of like flickering and stuff like that, although while we were meditating, I wasn't really watching the screen too much, but I hope you're with us now. It says I got 8 people in the room, so hopefully everybody's here. And was anybody else having any connectivity issues during that? Nobody's saying anything, so that either means you're all disconnected or everything is fine. So I'm going to go with the everything is fine and just keep talking. And hopefully, okay, good. Might have been on Ellen's time. And then, so continuing with the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Tutu. The fourth, okay, good. The fourth, let me look more like, that's too much. The fourth foundation of joy is acceptance. Shouldn't come as any surprise to any of you that acceptance is one of the foundations of joy. Think about like the 7 factors of enlightenment and that sort of thing. You know, one of them is equanimity, which basically equanimity results from accepting reality as it is. Sorry, a little crooked there. So it does not mean resignation and defeat. It doesn't mean, oh, well, I guess I can't do anything, I give up. It doesn't mean that. But what it really means is that when we accept reality as it is, that we accept reality as it is, and then we work within that context. And so we don't start out wishing that things were different than they were, or thinking that things should be different than they are, and that sort of thing. Things are as they are, and we may not like them. We don't have to like them, and we might want to change things and fix things. But in order to do that, we need to accept what is. So there's a couple of quotes in here that are really pretty interesting. This is from the Archbishop. He says, "We are meant to live in joy. This does not mean that life will be easy or painless. It means that we can turn our faces to the wind and accept that this is the storm we must pass through. We cannot succeed in denying what exists. The acceptance of reality is the only place from which change can begin." And he said that, you know, when you grow in the spiritual life, in other words, when you develop spiritually, you're able to accept what happens to you. So you accept the inevitable frustrations and hardships as part of the warp and woof of life. I like that. So the question is not how do we escape it? The question is how can we use it as something, they use the word positive. I would say constructive, maybe, or instructive, or useful, or helpful. How can I incorporate what's happened into my life, into my practice? They also I can't find this. The Dalai Lama apparently in this context often quotes Shantideva, who was a monk in India at Naropa, who gave this amazing teaching, and it was chronicled and written down. And it's really interesting stuff. I think one of the published versions of it is called something like The Way of the I'll have to look for it. It's the way of the peaceful warrior, or the way of the bodhisattva warrior, or something like that. Anyway, it's it's a real in-depth analysis of the bodhisattva path. And I'll go dig it off the bookshelf and share that with you in an upcoming talk. But at any rate, the Dalai Lama quotes him. He says, "Why be unhappy about something if it can be remedied?" In other words, you can fix it. Fix it. Really not much point in sitting around being stressed about it. Just whatever it is, fix it. And what is the use of being unhappy if it cannot be remedied? In other words, if this is the way it is, well, why be upset about it? Just learn to cope with whatever the condition is. Which is, it's kind of an interesting way of looking at things. If I can fix it, I don't need to get upset about it. I just need to fix it. If I can't fix it, I don't need to get upset about it. I just need to accept it. So he's talking, the Dalai Lama is talking about accepting difficult people and difficult conditions. He says, imagine that you're living next to a difficult neighbor. You can judge and criticize them. You can live in anxiety and despair that you will never have a good relationship with them. You can deny the problem or pretend that you don't have a difficult relationship with your neighbor. None of these is very helpful. He says, instead, you can accept that your relationship with your neighbor is difficult and that you would like to improve it. You may or may not succeed, but you can try. You cannot control your neighbor, but you do have some control over your thoughts and feelings. So this is one of the 4 things that we can't control. We can't control other people. Right? We can't control other people. We can't control the past because the past is gone. It's kind of, beyond any ability to control it. We can't predict the future. We can influence it. We can do things to improve our chances of having a better future, but we can't control it. And we can't control the weather, at least not yet, and not as individuals and not as societies generally. So, why then get upset over things over which we have no control? Let's focus on the things that we do have some control over. And so this is what he's saying. He says, you do have some control over your thoughts and feelings. So instead of anger, hatred, fear, cultivate compassion. So we can't just say, well, I'm not going to get angry at my neighbor anymore. Because if you're a human being and you have a tendency to get angry, which many, if not most human beings do, then when your neighbor does something, harmful or problematic in some way, anger might very well arise. And that's not really ours. That's another thing we can't really control. We can't really control what arises in our mind. But we can determine how to respond to what arises in our mind. So instead of cultivating anger, cultivate compassion. It's interesting. I was just, the Greater Good Center is doing this 21-day compassion, interfaith compassion challenge or something like that. We're on day 4. I decided I would do it because of the interfaith component of it. I wanted, I like seeing what religious leaders and other traditions have to say about stuff that and where it's aligned with Buddhist thinking, and sometimes where it differs from Buddhist thinking, because you can learn from that too. And there was a teaching yesterday from a speaker in a tradition that really doesn't resonate with me at all. I'm not going to go into what that is or why, but the teaching itself was talking about what sort of radical compassion, developing compassion when you really don't want to have compassion. And that is, that's an important thing to develop, to try to work with. It's real easy and it doesn't take much effort to have compassion for people for whom you want to have compassion, or for situations that you find are, it's easy to feel compassion for someone who's in certain circumstances. But when someone is doing something that's really hateful and obnoxious in your views, and you can work on having compassion for them, well, then do that. That's a great strength to be able to do that. One of my colleagues today at work was talking about how he'd been at the supermarket buying some stuff, and the supermarket where he shops had has been installing some self-checkout lanes, and how he won't use them because he sees them as these companies trying to further increase profits by reducing people, by not having to pay people. And so he likes to keep going to the checkout lines where people have to ring you up because it's good for employment as he sees it. I don't know how much difference it makes personally, but sounds good. And all things considered, I'd rather be rung up by a human being myself. So he was getting in line, and he said there was somebody there who was also getting in line who had, I'm not gonna go into colors and sayings or anything like that because I don't really want to get political here, but who was wearing T-shirts and other accessories that identified him as associating with the political views that my colleague finds abhorrent. And he was kind of waiting in line for the checkout line for the person, he was behind my friend in the line. And someone called out to him, "Hey, you can just go check out the self-checkout lines real quick. There's plenty of them open. You can get out of here in no time." It's one of the employees saying that. And he said, "No, y'all use that to cut people out. And I want to take care of the people." So even though, according to their T-shirts, these guys were on completely opposite sides of the fence politically, their values, at least with regard to that, were very much in line, So, there's a lot in our society to get separated over. But when we can see other human beings as other human beings who suffer the same way we do, suffer from the same things we do, and may even feel the same way we do about more than they feel differently about. Does that make sense? Then it's a lot easier to have compassion for our fellow human beings. It's a lot easier to have compassion for a person you're standing in line with than a political position you're standing in line with, So when we can see ourselves as fellow suffering human beings, or fellow suffering beings even, don't even have to be human beings, then accepting each other makes compassion a lot easier. It makes it more comfortable to live in the world with others. So if that makes any sense. So anyway, so he was talking about that, and the Archbishop later on says, he's talking about how it takes effort to build our spiritual capacity. So we're talking about acceptance here. So it's not as easy as, I would listen to Sensei Morris on YouTube last night, and he said develops acceptance. So now I'm just going to accept everything. Would that it were that easy. But it's not. It's a practice. That's why they call it a practice. The Archbishop says it's like muscles that have to be exercised in order to become stronger. Sometimes we get angry with ourselves, thinking that we ought to be perfect from the word go. But this being on earth is a time for us to learn to be good, to learn to be more loving, to learn to be more compassionate. And you learn not theoretically, you learn when something happens that tests you. And that's probably, of everything in this whole book, that might be the most important thing because if you ask, why am I here? Well, the answer is, what are you going to do with your time here? That's why you're here. What is your purpose? And that's a pretty good purpose. If this is a time to learn to be good, to learn to be more loving, to learn to be more compassionate, and to recognize that that happens when we're tested, then that's a pretty good reason to be here. I was thinking about, speaking of interfaith stuff, and don't worry, I'm a Buddhist. I'm not going to start talking about other religions, at least not in this context. Maybe others, but not here. But you think about something like the story of Job, which I've never really liked very much. But if you think about it as, all right, so if my faith is that my purpose here is to be good, to be compassionate, to be understanding, to be loving, if I can do that even when everything is going wrong, if I can keep my faith that way, then that makes this being on this planet worthwhile. It's not a bad way of looking at that. I hadn't really thought about that until I just started talking. But I actually like that. I like that teaching a little bit better now. If I'm thinking of faith in terms of faith in the best of humanity, which is love and compassion and things like that, then if I can maintain that faith in the face of adversity, then my faith will get stronger. So anyway, that's really pretty much all I had tonight. Acceptance, I hope that you're working with it already. And if not, I hope that you'll start. And it starts really with just accepting what has arisen and determining what you need to attach to and what you don't need to attach to. The secret is you don't need to attach to anything, but there are choices that you can make based on what arises, and focus on those things. Comments or questions, anyone? So tomorrow night on Zoom, we'll finish, we'll do about 3 more chapters, verses, fascicles, whatever the heck they call those things in the Diamond Sutra. And Sunday, I will be at White Sands Buddhist Center. Be putting up my talk on forgiveness on the Adventures of Sariputta and Moggallana podcast. And I'm working on launching another podcast. I probably shouldn't talk about it yet because I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to start getting episodes up. I've got a lot of it figured out. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be different. It'll be in addition to the Sariputta and Moggallana one, which is going to continue to remain a place where I post my Dharma talks. This will be more music oriented with more interfaith type of teachings. So anyway, thank you all very much for being with me tonight. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a good night.